Valley Talk on News Talk 1580 KGAL.
And it's another beautiful day in the Mid-Willamette Valley. Valley Talk, I'm Dave Adams. Glad to have you with us today. Hope you're out and about and enjoying the sunshine. We have a very interesting show. As always, Tuesday is the day that we bring John Gibson in, our average investment guy. And John called me up the other day and he said, you know what? He said, I want to bring Rob Allen in here, who's, I believe, looking at retiring as athletic director after 5 years for Lebanon High School. And just talk to Rob about, you know, his years at Lebanon and the camaraderie in the schools. In fact, he's got a Lebanon Warriors shirt on. Lebanon Warriors, a season to remember. What's it say underneath?
They went to state that year. We lost to Corvallis, right?
Yeah, in the semifinals, 2006.
Yeah.
And the competition between the schools, I know there's quite a rivalry between Lebanon and West Albany and South Albany.
We went through Mountain View. We went through Churchill, I believe. Mm-hmm. One of the most moving things I ever saw was after the Churchill game. It was cold and all that, but we won on the road. And Rob was down the field with his kids, but Ginger was up in the stands. And me and Rob Allen III, Rob's son, was doing the game. I was doing color, and Robbie was doing play-by-play. And after the game, you know, I saw Ginger, and I got her over, and Robbie was interviewing Ginger about the win. And it was just, you know, two people that was so happy for Dad and her husband. And then Ginger and Robbie were just, I mean, it was just great. It was just great.
So we're going to talk about kind of a reflection of the last 4 years, kind of where the school's headed. And one of the things we were talking about before we went on the air was the mascot issue, the Lebanon Warriors mascot, which is a depiction of a Native American warrior. And personally, I don't see a problem with it. I think it's great. I think it honors Native Americans. We'll talk about that a little bit. And I guess there is legislation moving through the State House in Salem, and as many things move through that State House, they move very slowly. But there is a move to try to reverse the decision from the State Board of Education that's given school districts 5 years to change their Native American lookalike mascots. So hopefully they can get that changed. We'll talk about that a little bit. First of all, let's talk about stock market. What's going on in the stock market today?
Everything is steady as long as we keep the pedal to the metal. You know, as long as we keep doing our quantitative easing, the market continues to grind higher. Now, it's down today a little bit. There's some bad news. They're lowering forecast for Germany's second half of the year. They're lowering our expectations for the second half of the year, which is kind of that's a very negative thing. But they've come out a couple of times and said, maybe by the end of June, we're going to start tapering off this buying our old debt back. And every time we've had kind of a sharp hiccup in the market. And so they're kind of in a quandary now as to what to do. We were supposed to be running at like 4% GDP now, and we're running at like 2% GDP, 1.8% GDP. And so we don't have the underneath stuff. And all you're hearing from the analysts is, well, there's nowhere else to put your money. And so, what you really want to do is keep your money in the market. Don't run away. It's not time yet. But we've seen the 10-year note go from yielding 1.67%. Now it's yielding 2.13%. That means that the price of the bond has dropped to get people to buy it. And as the price goes down, the yield goes up. It's an inverse relationship. So as you see that 10-year note yielding higher and higher amounts, this means it's getting cheaper, meaning that people don't want to buy it as much, which is that's what causes inflation, is when you have to drop the price of the bond to get them to buy it. And all of a sudden now you're yielding 3%. Well, that means the government has to pay 3% versus 1.67%. So you've basically doubled your debt. It'd be like your mortgage doubling. Mm-hmm. So that's what you got to watch for. Until that happens, leave it in the market, man. Leave it in the dividend-yielding stocks, because that's the only place you're getting any return. But you got to keep a close eye. And it's not the sort of thing where we're talking about great underpinnings in the market and we're creating 600,000 jobs like we did in the Reagan eras. We don't hear any of that. All we hear is, well, there's just no other place to put your money. So put it in there like everybody else, ride it all the way up, and then when you see that 10-year note getting out of control, like up around 2.5, like there's supposed to be a good cover at 2.4 yield. That's supposed to be a good ceiling. If it goes through 2.4, then you might want to think about, if you're my age, 53 or older, you might want to think about getting out of the stocks and putting your money into like a money market account for a while. You won't make anything, but at least you'll have your money out of stocks. Stocks, think of stocks like a high-rise building. When the stock market goes up, it goes up the stairs. It's like little increments. When the stock market goes down, it takes the elevator. If you look at any drop, boy, they are sharp. So I'd leave it where you're at. I'd be happy, but I'd keep the eye on the 10-year.
Now, the Obama administration is going under a lot of controversies right now, a lot of scandals affecting the stock market.
No.
They don't
Stock
care.
market cares about profit and loss. They care a lot about Obamacare. You're seeing companies like Darden Restaurants that own Red Lobster. They're moving all their 40-hour-a-week employees to 30 hours so that they don't have to participate. So that's going to hurt consumer spending because those employees won't make their full amount. So that's going to show up in retail spending and things like that. Consumers are 70% of our economy.
Now, something like what you just mentioned right there, how predictive does the stock market get in forecasting, how to spend their money and which stocks to buy? They know that that's coming up, that they're going to possibly move full-time employees to 30 hours a week, that those employees will have less money to spend.
And so
Do they wait for the other shoe to fall before they start buying and selling stock?
No,
Hard to
you
say.
look ahead. You always try to look 6 months ahead. That's why, I get accused of being a doomsdayer and all that kind of thing, but I'm looking ahead towards Christmas time as to where our economy will be, if gas prices stay where they are and if electricity prices start to spike. All that affects consumer spending. And so there's analysts that do nothing but interview and go to companies and talk about future sales and orders and, and all sorts of different ways to research that. Then you have people that do just charts called technicians, and they'll look at a company just based on a chart, like Apple. Apple's just broke their 50-day moving average line. So everybody's expecting Apple now to surge like 70, 80 points. And so there's people that just do nothing but research on that stuff. And so you listen to them. They're not political. They're just number guys. And that's kind of what I am. Even Bush blew it, no child left behind. Give me a break, that Medicare Part D, give me a break. So the stock market just looks at, hey, how much are they doing to screw us up? And then how much more money can we make? And that's how the stock market works. So
Interesting. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. Let's change gears here and talk to Rob Allen about his years at Lebanon. First of all, I teased everybody a little bit about the Warrior mascot, the Lebanon Warriors. Lebanon is one of the schools in the state of Oregon that has a mascot resembling Native Americans. Oregon State Board of Education, in their infinite wisdom, said that, it's might be construed by some as being derogatory to the Native Americans, and that if the picture depicts a Native American, then you've got to change it. Well, I'm looking at Rob here, and I'm looking at his baseball cap, and it's got a Lebanon Warrior mascot on it. I don't think that's derogatory. I think it's very honoring to the Native Americans. It depicts courage, it depicts fighting, it depicts victory, it depicts winning, it depicts, giving your best shot. I think all those are honorable characteristics. I don't have a problem with it. So we were talking before we went on. Let's talk about that a little bit. We were talking about that before we went on the air. And Rob, you had an interesting comment. When you were up in Salem testifying before the Legislative Committee, or the State Board of Education, excuse me, on this issue, there were a number of representatives of tribes there. And what were they telling the State Board?
The whole process was very interesting, and it put different perspectives on my thought pattern also. By going up there and testifying, I had the same thoughts and ideas that you've just stated, that we think we're honoring the Native Americans, and so do the other 16 schools in the state of Oregon that this is affecting. And by and large, we've never really had anyone come up and say that it's been demeaning or in any negative sense that our mascot has been something that's been bad. But listening to some of the Native Americans that were bringing up the issues, it opened my eyes to start thinking about what are their feelings about this? So we had individuals that did feel that there were some mascots out there that were offensive and to them. And but on another note, the point about the other tribes that came there and spoke, their councilmen that spoke, they were actually asking the State Board of Education to stay out of the process, that if they felt like a school did have a mascot that was in their area and then that was demeaning, that they would go to the school and we'd talk with them. And they wanted the educational process to work as far as bringing knowledge to both sides of the table to work out a problem for problem-solving means. And but I think the state board had other intentions when this thing started. So
I talked to, I can't remember who we talked to. We talked to somebody representing the State Board of Education on Valley Talk. And the question I had for, I believe it was a woman, have you ever talked to somebody who has had a problem, who has felt disparaged, demeaned, felt less because maybe they were being picked on because they were Native American? And she said yes. And I said, okay, I don't want any names. But who were they? Were they students? Were they what? Because every place I turn, I'm hearing this, what's the problem? I'm hearing this again from a number of the tribes that spoke to the State Board of Education, like you're saying. And she wouldn't tell me who they were, but she'd said, yes, I will tell you that we've had people that felt that they were being demeaned in various.
I've never seen a demeaning depiction. I mean, look at Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
When that horse and the rider comes out and they throw that spear at the 50-yard line, even here in Lebanon, I kind of go, well, these guys are kind of tough. I mean, I've never seen them depicted in a negative way.
I know that there some of the depictions that they brought to some of the hearings and then meetings that we did have outside of the board. One that did stand out was, I believe it was the old Cleveland Indians had this great big round red face as a mascot with a feather. And, that was not very attractive. I would admit to that. But, as we're thinking, we're honoring them. And if some of the Native Americans are feeling that we are not, what an awesome opportunity for education to take place and to say, hey, in your schools, maybe we should have some curriculum that deals with Native Americans and the feelings that they've had, or, that. But what the State Board of Education is cutting that off and just saying, there's no need for that. You're just not going to have it.
Yeah.
And so that was the thing that was disappointing to me and to the Lebanon administration, was that we looked at this as something that could be an educational moment
That'd be
for
a nice
all of us.
budget cut motion right there. Get rid of those guys.
Speaking of an educational moment, let's just take a look. I would think that what they should do is take a look at the specific mascots. Cleveland Indians, great example. It was maybe showing in Native Americans, was kind of a comical Indian in the mascot, and you've all seen that, I'm sure. But as we look at the Lebanon Warrior mascot, and even the one that John mentioned a moment ago, strong, courageous, doing battle, will win the victory, very honoring, very strong. I see no problem at all in, for example, the Lebanon Warrior mascot. And I think we should take some common sense approach. And, for example, as we compare these two mascots, obviously we're not going to have a choice over the Cleveland Indian mascot, but, that's not too, maybe.
Well, they've dressed up Benny Beaver, but when I went to Oregon State, Benny Beaver was kind of a laughingstock mascot, and that's kind of offensive to beavers. So maybe we should take up a board and do some really expensive hearings and consider the beaver feelings.
Yeah, or the ducks.
Or the ducks, yeah.
We were joking about that before we went on the air. Somebody's going to say, you know what? The beavers are being humiliated.
Yes.
We're making fun of the beavers.
Oh, man.
They've got feelings, too. Beavers are people, too. And we need to, we're going to give somebody an idea here.
I still
Hopefully
wake up in the middle of the night hearing that USC theme song. Every time they would score a touchdown, they would play that stupid song, and it'd be like 64-0. But now we're better.
So where are we headed now? What's going on with the Lebanon School Board? Look at your hat. You still have the Indian mascot at the floor in the gym for basketball games. Still the Lebanon Warrior. On the side of the school, there's still the Warrior on the horse, which the state board said that was the artwork. That could stay, but the emblem on the gym floor had to go, which kind of is confusing to me. But anyway, so where is the Lebanon School District now in the
we're going
mascot?
right now, we're going to honor the 5-year deal if it doesn't get changed, of course. And so we're able to keep the name Lebanon Warriors. We'll just have to get rid of all Native American logos. So you're talking about the gym floor. As an athletic director, I see uniforms. I see, luckily, we didn't put it on our new turf field. It's LW. We're okay there. But, there's a lot of letterhead, all of this. So it is going to be a huge cost. So we are looking at that, planning ahead, being prepared for, when we do buy new uniforms on the rotations that we're doing, we're going to have to, be thinking about not using the Warrior and just being prepared so it doesn't hit us all on that 5th year. But we're hoping that Sherry Springer and the new bill that is being proposed will get through the Senate and then the governor, and we're hoping that that's going to work out for everyone.
That legislation is in the current session of the state legislature?
Yes.
Being considered. Sherry Springer is carrying the bill. We'll keep an eye on it and see what happens. What do you personally think?
Well, I like you said, I thought that we were honoring Native Americans. We're very proud to be the Lebanon Warriors, and we're very proud to carry and wear our mascot. And I've been in Lebanon for 32 years, so it was just something like, mashed potatoes and gravy.
What I don't understand is why would you want to name your mascot as a joke? I mean, you have the Bulldogs, you have, the Rebels, you have the Patriots, for God's sakes. They're going to have to change their name. They'll get audited. But, I mean, nobody has ever named their school mascot after a joke. I mean, you're supposed to exhibit strength. I mean, so I just think it's wasted time. I'd rather talk about where some of your players went to.
Well, let's talk about some of the years, 5 years, athletic director at Lebanon with Rob Allen and John Gibson here on Valley Talk, and we are going to do that here in just a moment.
The Oregon Symphony 2013-2014 season in Salem is set, and season tickets are available now. The magnificent Oregon Symphony, featuring internationally known guest artists without a trip to Portland. The Oregon Symphony Association in Salem proudly presents a series of 7 concerts at Willamette University. Carlos Kalmar and guest conductors and artists present masterpieces such as Beethoven's Symphony No. 7, Bach's Concerto in D minor with Emanuel Ax on piano, Grammy winner Joshua Bell playing the Violin Concerto in D minor by Sibelius, and Dvorak's Symphony No. 5. Enjoy a classical Christmas on December 20th. World-class music right here in Salem. Save by purchasing a series of concerts. The Oregon Symphony Concerts in Salem begin October 1st, and tickets are going fast. Call now, 503-364-0149. That's 364-0149. Or link from KGAL.com or KShow.net.
Sign up now and hit the road with the YMCA Summer Day Camp U.S. Tour. Ages 3.5 through 8th grade. They'll learn how to make new friends, build new skills, and grow in self-reliance with safe, licensed, certified, well-trained staff. Every week is a different theme from a different city. Fun-filled trips and more. Financial assistance available. The Mid-Willamette Valley YMCA Summer Day Camp U.S. Tour. Sign up now. Everybody benefits. Call 541-926-4488. Online at ymcaalbany.org or on Facebook, 3311 Pacific Boulevard, Southwest in Albany.
Day camp? Yay!
Book lovers, you can support summer reading for kids and pick up some summer reading for yourself at bargain prices. The Friends of the Albany Public Library Summer Book Sale is coming up June 14th and 15th. at the Albany Public Library Meeting Room. Hardback fiction, mystery, and children's books, plus hundreds of paperbacks. And the price? All the books only 50 cents to $2. Load up with bargains and help out the Children's Summer Reading Program at the Friends of the Albany Public Library's Summer Book Sale, June 14th and 15th at the library.
You depend on your car and you depend on your mechanic to keep that car running right. Depend on Wacoma Auto and Radiator Service. Over 70 years of combined experience repairing and servicing all late model cars. ASE certified master technicians Chuck, Bill, and Wally are TechNet professionals, offering the latest computer diagnostics, affordable rates, and a nationwide warranty on all parts. Wacoma Auto and Radiator Repairs in Corvallis on Cornell, just off 9th Street, down from the Goodwill. You can depend on Wacoma.
You probably know the former Hair Express in Lebanon has relocated as Studio 709 in Brownsville. Remember the address? 709 Amelia Street. The phone number? 466-3250. Once you stop in, you'll always remember how much you like their haircuts. At Studio 709 at 709 Amelia Street in Brownsville. Phone 466-3250. Studio 709, where they always take unforgettable care in hairstyling.
Get tomorrow's news tonight. John Batchelor, Sunday through Friday nights on Smart Talk 1580.
Welcome back to Valley Talk, and we are here talking to Rob Allen, athletic director for 5 years at Lebanon High School. And I guess you're thinking about retiring, Rob.
Yes, I just handed in my paper yesterday, actually.
Really?
Wow.
Yes.
Breaking news.
Well, a lot of retirements going on. Radio Ray is retiring, and Rob Allen now. And so, what are you going to do with your free time?
You know, what is part of my retirement agreement with the school district is that I come back and work part-time. So I'll be like a 0.5 FTE working back for those hours for PERS as athletic director. So I'll be doing halftime AD work for, at least another year, probably.
You just have way too much fun with your job.
I do, and I don't want to leave it completely.
So where'd you come from?
I grew up in Mapleton, Oregon, played football there as single A school, and then went to college at OCE, which is now Western Oregon. I played football and track there, had successful careers there.
What'd you play in football?
Football, I was a free safety and a punter. And in track, I was a decathlete.
So your kid kicks too?
Yep.
Robbie kicks.
Yeah, Robbie likes to kick.
Yeah.
So, and then...
and how'd you wind up coaching? I mean...
when I was a 7th grader, the only thing that I really liked in high school, or in school, was PE. So the PE teacher was my mentor. And
so there is a job. There is a future in PE.
That's right. It better be. That's great. So that my PE, I said when I was a 7th grader that I was going to be a PE teacher. And of course, I loved coaching. I loved sports. So let's be a PE teacher and coach. Made up my mind early. That's what I was going to do. In summers and whatnot down there, I worked in the logging business, setting chokers, doing that kind of stuff. My father said that's not what you're going to do for a living. You make sure that you are college bound. And so I did, and did the same thing in college, though. When you major in PE, you take a lot of PE activity classes, and then I played 2 sports and had a great time. So it was just something that I thought was right for me.
Well, I know that you incorporated that into your coaching because you would have your kids go out and buck hay in the summertime and stuff like that.
Yes, and part of that deal, too, is... as a team, a family, you want to start to develop some type of servant heart so you can give back. And not only were our kids working to help farmers, and some of them were getting paid, but we had other projects that we did also where they were out helping the community do things.
There's nothing wrong with getting paid for bucking hay.
Nothing.
That's hard work, dude.
That's
right.
hard work, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Those kids got to eat. They're big kids.
Yeah. And then came to Lebanon in 1980 and coached football and track 1980-81 for over 30 years.
And we had some great years.
Athletic director. Yeah, so we had a lot of fun. It was a great journey, and I think that's what I try to instill in all of my coaches and my kids too, is that, the end results, the semifinal game that we made reference to was fantastic. But to me, I remember that year. I remember that journey to there, And there's a lot more memories in there than the state semifinal game, which was an awesome game too, by the way.
The early days of practice, when it's hot and nobody's, happy, and it's like, nobody knows you're going to wind up at Willamette University playing on artificial turf in front of lots of people, But it was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
The rivalry between, is it Lebanon and South Albany or West Albany?
West Albany, I think, is
Lebanon,
one of our
West
biggest,
Albany.
Yeah, one of our biggest rivalries that we've had.
How did that get started? Is it because one's on KGAL and one's on K-Show, and they call it each broadcast rivalry when it's on the game? We've got two broadcast crews, different sides of the floor on the stations. They're owned by the same company broadcasting the same game. We have two teams. Two broadcast teams broadcasting the same game, which I thought was kind of strange. But but there's this rivalry between the two schools, and it carries under the radio, which is a lot of fun.
It is, and you know what? Rivalries, if they're done appropriately, then they're very healthy. And our kids, years ago, I believe, we were very successful in football, and West Albany was not. West Albany started building a great program, started coming up, started winning, and it became very, very competitive. And so I think when we clashed, Corvallis was another one back in the late 80s and early 90s, very good teams, So when we started clashing, you knew that it was a playoff-bound game, no matter if it was the first game of the year or the last game of the year. So I think that kind of intensity brings that rivalry. And then the neat thing about that is that you'll see those kids in the spring, whether they're doing track or baseball or whatever, and they'll be talking to each other from opposing schools. Mm-hmm. In football, you don't get the opportunity to talk to each other. You're beating each other up, and after the game, you go to opposite ends of the field, you talk with the coaches, and you want to just go get out of your gear. And you don't get an opportunity to do that. I will say one time we had something that was very unique and part of the journey that I was talking about in 2006. A good athlete of ours back then, a quarterback, Seth Probert. We had just finished playing Corvallis at home, and I believe that we had just barely lost to them. Mm-hmm. And Seth was out on the field quite a bit longer than most everybody. And we just spent time with families out there after our games, win or lose. Mm-hmm. And so he's walking in towards the locker room, and the Corvallis bus is there. And their athletes are already on the bus. They're ready to go home. And Seth steps up into the bus and tells them, "Great job." And that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. You can go to a West Albany game. Trust me, I lived in Denver. I went to a Monday night game when they played the Raiders. And I saw, Raider fans, stupid idiots, being carried out, bloodied up and everything, You can go to a West Albany game, eat a hot dog, and have a heck of a good time with your Lebanon shirt on. Robbie and I would sit up in the stands and announce the games like a Churchill. And we would mispronounce the player's name on the other side, and they would come up and go, that's Vanderjook or whatever it is, And so later on, you would make it right, and wonderful,
good, healthy, good and healthy.
It's fun.
I think it's good. Plus, Randy Nyquist has been their West Albany's coach for a long time, and has done a fantastic job. And he instills that integrity into their programs, and that's what Lebanon, I believe, has done over the years too. And so that's really important part of the game.
What's ahead for Rob Allen? You doing some broadcasting, maybe?
No, I don't think so.
You want to be a broadcaster?
My son does a great job of that. We'll leave it up to him. So,
he is good.
I am going to spend time with my grandkids and my wife and my kids. Time that has been lost in the 30 years of coaching. I'll never be able to make that up to them, but I'm going to be able to spend some time with them and just have some fun and continue to do some things. We hope, we had a huge project with the turf and track at Lebanon. It's been a great community thing, but there's other fields out at Lacombe and Seven Oak.
So you're not going to stop working. You're not going to stop.
We want what's best for our kids, and so I'll be involved in that somehow.
And having seen the look in Ginger and Robbie's eyes when you coached and all that, they were there the whole time. Mm-hmm. You do have great support.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Thanks for being with us on the show. Hopefully you can come back again in whatever capacity. So you're going to be doing part-time athletic director.
Yes.
That will continue.
Yes, and then I'll be working on some facility stuff around the community.
And you'll be lobbying for the Warrior mascot? Can we say
Anytime.
that?
Anytime.
Okay, you're a Warrior fan.
Yes.
I've talked to a lot of, several of the kids that went to, and just hearing them talk around town, and especially when the buzz was going around the community about the mascot. And one of the things I was hearing was that that's what they grew up with. That was their heritage. And they were somewhat incensed that somebody was going to take away their Warrior mascot because that was part of their youth. That was part of their history, their culture. And, how dare you take away my Warrior mascot?
Oh, all those Pop Warner, AYSO kids that play soccer and football and all the other sports, when they're little, you ask them, they want to be a Lebanon Warrior.
Yeah.
That's what they're living for at that time when they're playing sports. So it is a challenging time right now on how to deal with all of that. So we're hoping that this bill will go through and it'll all be history, and then we'll just continue to move forward.
Political correctness.
People's Exhibit A, right there. They want to be a Lebanon Warrior.
Yeah.
They aspire to it. That's what they want to grow up into being. So, members of the State Board of Education, state legislature.
In Brownsville, those big mounds, those were built by the Indians. There's big mounds out there, and so are we not supposed to respect that or pay it? I mean, for God's sakes.
I
think we're getting early where I need a 7-second delay because I'm getting mad.
I've noticed that. I've been reaching for the button and it's not hooked up yet. So we'll have to keep an eye.
But anyways, hey man, good coaching.
Thank you. It's been an honor to be at Lebanon, I'll tell you.
Enjoy the years, and
You've
looking
affected a
forward
lot
to
of
seeing
kids.
the Lebanon Warrior mascot continue on for years to come.
Thank you.
A lot of kids out there with character because of you. Thanks.
Thank you, John.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you for what you've done for Lebanon in the past, what you'll continue to do in the future. Thank you for being with us on Valley Talk today. Mike Hartman is in the studios. He's with Security Alarm Corporation, and he's going to be talking with us on Valley Talk here in just a moment. We'll take a short break, and we will be right back.
The Osgood File, sponsored in part by LiftMaster Garage Door Openers. Use your smartphone to open or close your garage door anytime from anywhere. This is Charles Osgood. If you suffer from acid reflux but don't feel it anymore, it could be Barrett's syndrome, where acid has burned away the lining of your esophagus and is replaced by cells normally found in the gastrointestinal tract. Patients with Barrett's are at risk for esophageal cancer, and they need an endoscopy every so often. Now, at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, they've come up with a better way. We'll tell you about that after this. There's nothing instant about getting postage from the post office. Think of all the time you waste just driving there and parking there. So skip that trip to the post office and do what I've done in my office for years. Use Stamps.com. Buy and print official U.S. postage instantly for any letter or package with your own computer and printer. Stamps.com will also send you a digital scale that will automatically calculate the exact postage for you. It will even help you decide the best class of mail for your mail and shipping needs. Stamps.com is so quick and easy to use, there's no guesswork, and it's ready for you 24/7 right at your own desk. Get started now, and you'll see what I mean. Stamps.com has a special offer since you listen to the Osgood File. It's a no-risk trial with a $110 bonus that includes that digital scale and up to $55 in free postage. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the home page, and enter my last name, Osgood, O-S-G-O-O-D. That's Stamps.com, and enter Osgood. The procedure that replaces the thick fiber optic scope used in an endoscopy felt a whole lot better to patient Will Baker than what he's had before.
I think it's a major breakthrough. I think it reduces the fear of people who have heard about I guess they call it the garden hose.
All he had to do was to swallow a pill-sized tablet. Dr. Gary Tierney explains.
With our procedure, you swallow a capsule, and this capsule grabs those microscopic images while you're in the living person without taking the tissue out. And not only that, but it grabs the microscopic images of the entire esophagus as opposed to just one little spot. So we get a much better understanding and a much better picture of the detailed structure of the esophagus and are able to get a better diagnosis.
The pill-sized scanner uses what they call optical coherence tomography, where a spinning laser beams light into tissue to create a detailed three-dimensional picture. Again, Dr. Tierney.
We scan the beam around the esophagus, and when we grab these depth resolved reflectance profiles, we're able to create a cross-sectional image of the entire esophagus as it constricts around the capsule. And then as the capsule is swallowed and it moves down through the GI tract, we compile these cross-sectional images to create a three-dimensional microscopic image of the esophagus.
A whole lot better, I suppose, than that old-fashioned garden hose. The Osgood File. Charles Osgood on the CBS Radio Network.
Yo, guess who's back, baby? It's your boy, Randy Jackson. Your favorite American Idols are on tour.
Saturday, July 20th, on stage at Rose Garden.
Come check out Amber, Angie, Aubrey, Burnell, Candace, Curtis, Devin, Janelle, Creed, Lazarus. Oh, baby.
Reserve seats are on sale now at the box office. Participating Safeway Tickets West locations by phone or rosequarter.com. Don't miss Portland's own Aubrey. Produced by AEG Live. Sponsored in part by Claire's.
In mid-sized companies, the left hand needs to know what the right hand is doing. When they do, business can take on a whole new rhythm, especially with IBM's Smart Cloud Engage Advanced. It combines communities, web meetings, and file sharing with business-grade email in one security-rich environment, making it the smarter way to collaborate. Register now for your 60-day free trial at ibm.com/engines/engage.
Excuse me, sir.
Hi, what do you need?
Hands in a 44 waist?
Looking for something lace?
No, a 44 waist?
A shoelace?
I need a 44 waist.
We don't carry that size.
What? I want a prize?
No.
Stop shopping in no man's land. There's a better way for bigger men to find clothes. Now open. Visit DestinationXL.com to find a store near you. Destination XL. Big on being better.
Jim Bohannon, weeknights on News Talk 1580, KGAL.
Thank you for coming back on Valley Talk. It was kind of fun to talk about with Rob Allen about the Warrior mascot. That's kind of something that I've, I don't know. It's just kind of a pet little project of mine as far as I just don't understand what the problem is. And I enjoy talking about that. So
well, and it goes so far back. It'd be different if they had just built the high school and they named it 5 years ago. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it's been there forever, so it's just silliness.
Let's change gears here. Let's talk to Mike Martin, Security Alarm Corporation. And in fact, Mike, I believe, owns 4 different businesses under Martin Invest. Thank you for being with us on Valley Talk today. You want to move that microphone a little bit closer to you there?
Closer to me.
Closer to you.
All right, Dave.
You're not retiring, are you?
Not yet.
Okay, good. We've talked to a lot of people.
Everybody else is.
It just seems like it's something in the water.
Well, I better quit drinking this water.
There you go. So talk to us about Security Alarm Corporation.
Well, it goes back further than that. If you want to go to the history of it, in 1952, my dad started Valley Fire Control, which is fire extinguishers, automatic fire suppression equipment. We do hydrostatic testing for large cylinders and Scott air packs and scuba dive cylinders, and so that company, started in '52 in his garage, and then I worked for him as a kid and got out of the service in 1973.
Which branch service?
Army, U.S. Army Security Agency, actually, Aviation Division, and we bought. A renter that was a fellow that was running a building for my dad who started this alarm company. He had another business called Industrial Radiotronics, and he did tour radio service as a sales and installation. And I worked for him too. I installed some radios in the cars and towers and things.
Sure.
Anyway, he said he wanted to sell the alarm business. It was 2 years old, and I told my dad I thought we ought to buy it. And we did, and so it kind of struggled along for a couple, 2-3 years, and then I hired my brother, and it started to grow. And then in '84, I think it was '84 or '86, I can't remember which, we bought Albany Lock and Key. Ray Dwyer owned it at that time, and he wanted to he wanted to sell it, but it still worked for the company. So we bought it, and he worked for us, and had somebody at the counter all 24 hours or all day long, and business hours where he had to close it before because it was a one-man operation. If he had a lockout to run to, you just have to close the doors. So we bought that, and then that same year, the telephone answer service in town was for sale. And at that point in time, we were having our alarms monitored in Corvallis at ACL Answering Service. And so we thought, well, if we buy this answering service, we can bring our alarm monitoring function into our building and oversee it better. And so we bought Paragon. It was actually called Sunshine Answering Service. We renamed it and computerized it, moved it into our building, then moved our alarm receiving equipment into there. And then a few years after that, about 6 or 7 years ago, we had brought UL listing into the central station. When UL inspectors came and looked and saw that we had duplicate this and duplicate that and a standby generator and all the kind of things that a UL central station needed to have, a UL approved central station. So that's kind of where we are now.
Seems like you're the kind of guy this administration ought to be talking to on how to grow the economy.
Kind of looks
I
that way,
certainly have
doesn't
some ideas. I don't know whether they'd be good or not, but they...
Sounds like you got some darn good ones, I tell you.
Where'd you come up with the name Paragon?
My mom came up with that, and for a long time I didn't even know what it meant, but it's like the top, the pinnacle, whatever.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it meant when she first came up with the name. She did, of course, and...
it's a very forceful, very upfront name, very...
Yeah,
we're talking about Lebanon Warriors. Is kind of the name.
We think
like
it's
that.
a good name. I actually think all our names, except maybe Valley Fire Control, it kind of confines us to the valley. Yet we have a coast division over there that operates all up and down the coast. And so, but Albany Lock and Key, exactly what we do. Security Alarm Corps is exactly what we do.
So how many,
Paragon's a little bit different, but
how many families do you support? I hate the idea how many people do you employ. I like the idea of how many families do you support.
We do have some husband and wife folks working for us, and my wife works for us, so that'd be one. But I suppose about 40. And of course, some of our employees have their husbands or wives work somewhere else, so that cut that down a little bit. But
my point was like one wage earner can make a living wage in a job like yours. And so you support a family even though you're paying one person.
Right.
So that's quite a commendable
That's economic
thing.
development right there.
You would think.
Yeah. So let's talk about security. You've been in the security business you were in it in the Army.
Yeah, well, the Army was interesting. We had voice and signal intercept on an airborne platform. So our division flew the East-West German border and did, first of all, spied on the military operations of the East Germans and the Russians. And then at the same time, we'd jam them,
You're having fun.
This is during the Cold War where we would jam them and they'd jam us, and we would just, it was a protocol that you just followed. You just went to the next frequency. You didn't acknowledge you were being jammed, but you just went to the next frequency and continued on until they found you there and jammed you. And so we would do some of that, I guess, too. But
kind of cat and mouse game.
We had a Caribou, the Army's last Caribou, which is a twin-engine high-wing. You could drive a Jeep and a trailer in it. That's about the size of the airplane. But inside of it was desks of voice and signal intercept folks, and when the airplane was airborne, little antennas would drop out of the belly of the airplane and spy on the
wow,
the
man.
enemy.
And it's just gotten better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you have now little pins in your pocket that you can take pictures of
people.
people.
You can do all of that,
Yeah.
This reminds me of a funny story. I'm not going to tell you who told it. It wasn't Mike. It was somebody else. He was in the Navy, and they were involved in avionics, and what would happen a lot of times in the Navy ships is they have these fishing trawlers, Russian fishing trawlers, that would follow them and eavesdrop on their communications. And so they had this signal where they would signal the other ships that they would want them to turn off their radios, and they had a light signal or something like that. And then they would gradually turn down the power output of their radio, and then there'd be silence. And then they would ramp it up to, extraordinary levels, and then hit transmit. And then what you do is you look at the fishing trawler, and the smoke would be coming out of the fishing trawler because they would just totally destroy the radios. And so they have a little fun with them that way.
This Cold War thing back then was so weird. We took an airplane to Sinop, Turkey, or Sinop, and it's right on it is on a peninsula on the Black Sea. And this was an Army security agency base with antennas and dishes, everything pointing to Russia. Well, a Russian dad and his son hijacked a little twin-engine plane, a low-wing plane, and tried to get out of Russia. And they landed at this Army security agency base.
Wow.
And so we were there, and of course we weren't supposed to take pictures of this Russian airplane because the Turks were guarding it with the machine guns and things. So we all snuck around and took pictures of it. But the next morning, early in the morning, they woke us up and said, "Hey, we got to turn this into a Turkish air base. We got to take all the signs down that are English, paint anything we can that might be English, and then fly all the American planes to Ankara." And so we did that. But the silliness of it is that we know where all their stuff is. They know what that is. But the Cold War is you don't want to admit that it is. So you change it to a Turkish air base so they can come and fuel that plane and ferry it back to Russia. It was bizarre.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's still going on today, right?
Of course,
we're still fighting
yeah,
Russia.
of course.
Just be Syria.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, I was leading to a question before we went on that bunny trail. It was a rather funny bunny trail to take on. What have you seen? What kinds of changes have you seen in the security industry? I'm sure it's computerization, electronics.
It's huge.
Drones? You don't use drones, of course.
No, I couldn't tell you that.
Okay.
But
top secret. You'd have to kill me.
I'd have to kill you. So,
and that ain't funny.
No, I mean, when we started installing security systems, you would just anticipate going back and tweaking it and getting it lined up. I mean, you would anticipate. Now you don't anticipate going back. In fact, you're frustrated if you have to go back because the industry has developed products now that are so stable and don't give a lot of grief. So that's one thing change is huge. Another thing that's huge is the ability to download from our office into the alarm panel at a remote location, make changes, turn it on and off, rename things on the keypad instead of the kid's bedroom is now a den, that kind of thing. We can do all that from our office, and that's huge. It's really a great service for our customers, and it allows us to do a lot of things we couldn't do before. And now, of course, with the advent of smartphones and iPads, we can go in and from your iPad turn the alarm on and off and look at cameras and see what's going on in the house and turn the temperature on and up and down, and so we have that capability as well. And so it's just things have really changed, especially in the last 10 years.
I would imagine, like, you think about the plumbers convention or the auto workers convention. The security convention must be the most fascinating conventions to go to.
Those manufacturers are coming up with some stuff that's just unreal. Yeah.
I tell you.
Interesting. We need to take one more break, and then we will return with Mike Martin with Security Alarm Corporation here on Valley Talk, and we will be right back.
Going out to lunch at a nice restaurant can be expensive, and the big portions put you more in the mood for a nap than a productive afternoon. Mama's Fine Italian to the rescue. The small appetite senior menu is just right. Anyone and everyone is invited to order from the Light Appetites menu for lunch from 11 to 4 p.m. with tasty entrees beginning at only $4.95. Why go hungry or go anywhere else for lunch? Eat healthy, eat light at Mama's. Closed Sunday and Monday, so make the most of Tuesday through Friday and join your friends at Mama's for lunch. Dinner only on Saturday. Mama's features charbroiled steaks every day. Make reservations for dinner or pick up a bottle of fine wine. Seating is limited, so please call for reservations. 541-451-5050. That's 451-5050. Mama's Fine Italian and Wine Shop on West Oak between Main and 2nd in Lebanon, across from the Big Blue Napa Auto Parts Building.
The 30th Annual Sunbelt Rentals and Bible and Rose Festival Drag Race this Saturday and Sunday, June 8th and 9th at Woodburn Drag Strip. See 5-second alcohol funny cars, 260-mile-an-hour alcohol and nitro-burning dragsters, and 300-miles-an-hour jet dragsters. It's a fun-filled weekend of NHRA Championship drag racing at Woodburn Drag Strip. For more information, log on to woodburndragstrip.com. Be there.
Some call them the greatest generation, the men and women who endured impossible sacrifices, leading our nation to victory in World War II. 3,771 fellow Oregonians died protecting our country, yet Oregon has no memorial dedicated to their memory. We must never forget these brave Oregonians who gave their lives for our freedom. Go to OregonWorldWar2Memorial.com to see how you can help. Sponsored by the Oregon World War II Memorial Foundation.
It happens all the time. It's a beautiful summer day, that time of year when you spend a lot of time outside the house, when you and your guests notice that the house needs a fresh coat of paint. Don't wait until the outdoor season is well underway. Call Halcyon Painting now. The professionals at Halcyon Painting are in great demand from May through September, which is the prime outdoor painting season. And early booking will ensure that your paint job will be scheduled this summer. Why not call right now for your non-obligation proposal? Halcyon Painting will give you a complete description of all work to be done in writing, together with a firm price. Don't wait until you have to settle for just anyone to paint your home business. Call Halcyon Painting at 752-7251. Mention this ad after accepting the bid and get $50 off the job. With Halcyon Painting, every job carries a written warranty. Beat the rush. Call now. 752-7251. Halcyon Painting.
Laugh, cry, or get scared spitless with When Radio Was. Weeknights at 10 on 1580 KGAL.
Welcome back to Valley Talk, and Mike Martin, Security Alarm Corporation. Thank you for being with us on Valley Talk today. And very interesting, very fun to have you in the studio and find out what's going on with the Security Alarm Corporation. Any deals, any specials going on with your company?
Right now,
we'll give you a free bit here.
We're down on, if they want to come and see us, we're down on Main Street, 2nd and Main, where the traffic circle's going in. And yeah, we started, like, again, my dad started in a garage, and then we had a little shop behind my grandfather's feed store where Les Schwab Tire is now. In fact, one of the buildings is still there, and Les Schwab revamped it, and it's the big one sitting out by the street. And we were in that building, and then the building on 2nd and Main was an abandoned grocery store, and we decided to buy that, and then we built a building behind that, and then we bought a building on the opposite corner, and so we're just kind of surrounding that block. Yeah, we've got some things on display if you want to see how some of this stuff works, where you can unlock and lock your door from your phone and that kind of thing. We can do that. And
it is amazing the way the town has changed, you know.
Oh, yeah. That
Hasty
traffic
Freeze
circle's
is still there,
really,
but
yeah, Hasty Freeze.
Everything else.
King Cone.
Everything else is different, you know.
Do you do residential, business security?
Residential, business, industrial. We do a lot of work for the industries around the valley, and certainly commercial, and a lot of homes.
Do you do specials where if somebody's going to be gone, maybe they're a snowbird or they're gone for a month at a time, you can just watch their place or do a security system for a short period of time? Or
pretty
not?
hard to justify that short time.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be pretty expensive to do that. What people don't understand is that, in my estimation, if you're gone, they don't know when you're coming home. So if you're gone to this, or if they're watching you leave, and they want to have an intent to break into your house, if they watch you leave, they know they've got enough time, 5 or 10 minutes, even if you're just going to get some milk. But if they come on your house and it's empty or you're not home, they don't know but what you might come home at any minute. So you could be in Europe and be just as safe as if you went. You follow me?
Sure.
Because they don't know when you're coming home. But if they watch you leave, so people say, well, I'm going to be on vacation, so I got to have my house watched. Well, you go to church on Sunday, don't you? Yeah. Well, you go out to dinner, don't you? Yeah. Well, you're just as vulnerable then. In fact, sometimes more so, because they watch you leave.
Especially if you have people coming into your house, like delivering furniture or whatever. You can get somebody scoping your stuff, and then they come back and get it later.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot of burglaries are just taking inventory. The first one, they're just saying. And then someone says, hey, you know where I can get I know where there's one in this house here. And then they go,
really?
Yeah. Police have told me that more than once. A lot of times everything isn't taken that could be taken. It's because they don't want to have why would they want to inventory stolen property? Let you inventory pre-stolen property that they can go get and sell to whoever's looking for it.
Better just to be all in and be secured.
Yeah,
I heard somebody's voicemail one time and said, we're really home. We're out back loading our guns. So if you want to come on down, if you're casing us.
With a dog barking in the background.
There you go. I thought that was hilarious. Mike, thank you for being with us on Valley Talk. Had a great time visiting with you. Good luck with Security Alarm Corporation, Valley Fire Control, Albany Lock and Key Service, Paragon Communications. You have a website, Martin
Invest Inc. or SAC.TO or SecurityAlarmCorporation.com.
Phone number?
541-928-4544.
And you have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow on Valley Talk.
Thank you.
Around the clock, around the world. Your first choice for information is News Talk 1580, KGAL, Lebanon, Albany, Corvallis.